Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Success Harbor Podcast with George Mazzaros, where it's all about making success happen for you.
Hi, everyone. This is George Mazzaros with Success Harbor, and I have Chris Guthrie of EntrepreneurBoost.com with me. Welcome.
Thanks, George. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for being here, Chris. For over 4 years, you've been running your business. You're running multiple websites, buy and sell sites, hire others to develop software, do email marketing, and more. How did you end up getting involved with so many things?
Yeah, so I guess it's just kind of everything's been in a natural progression. You know, I started with affiliate marketing, and Amazon is how I started making money primarily. Back before I lost my day job, that's what was paying my bills after I lost the job. And then,
so how did you get into affiliate marketing? What was your journey there? How did you come about? How did you learn about that?
Yeah, so I mean, this is years ago now, but I saw a website. It was a video game related website. I play video games sometimes, although less now that I have children. But basically, I saw these ads on the bottom of a site, and I thought, you know, how much are these ads making this guy? So I emailed him and asked how much the ads were making him, and he said like $2 or $3 a day. But that was enough for me to think, okay, if I can get a lot of traffic to a website, then I could make more money with ads like this. And so that's kind of what set me down the path to try and build websites. And then eventually I decided to build out product review websites, and I specifically focused on Amazon affiliate marketing with those product review websites. So that's kind of really what got me started with with affiliate marketing in general. And then since then, I've expanded into doing other types of affiliate marketing and selling my own products and all that as well.
And the product review websites, how did you get that idea? Were there not enough, or you thought you could improve what's out there?
I mean, it was kind of an unoriginal idea, but I basically just thought, you know, I'm kind of struggling with these other websites I was building. I had these old forums that were about different types of video game topics, and I thought, you know, I'm struggling to get people to get a lot of money from these. I think I had 500,000 page views a month for one site, and it was only making me $500 a month in AdSense. So I mean, that's quite a bit of traffic for very little earnings. So I basically thought, you know, what can I do where the value of the visitor is much higher? And that's where I kind of get back to the idea of the unoriginal thought that maybe a product review website would make sense. So that's kind of why I went into that direction, and then went from there.
And so it's interesting you bring that up, because I think many people that are interested in starting a business or are in business want to come up with the best idea, the greatest idea that nobody ever heard of, or something brand new. What's your take on that?
Yeah, actually, I have a good comment to that. If I don't see someone else is already doing the idea I'm interested in doing, then I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, there are very few truly unique, never-before-done ideas. And along with those, you know, there's usually a huge amount of education that it might take to educate the market. But, I mean, a lot of them are just kind of extensions upon existing ideas, right? So if you go back to, like, skiing, you know, someone invented skis, and they started skiing, and then someone thought, you know, what if we combine the two planks together into a single board, and now it's a snowboard? I mean, it's an expansion upon an original idea, but I don't know. Maybe it's kind of a little off tangent, but
yeah. But I mean, you know, it's. I don't know do you think people are afraid of competition, or they don't think it's enough just to do something better than somebody else already does?
I mean, I think it's. I don't know. I mean, I think that's a tough question. I think that the natural response, if you see a bunch of people doing something, is that, okay, well, if there are a lot of these companies out here doing this, then there's probably no room for me. But my response is always, okay, there's a lot of companies doing this, so I can probably make money doing this as well.
Yeah, you know, that's interesting. That's interesting, because I think some people would struggle with that, but I believe you, and I agree with you, actually. How do you get into the software development area?
Yeah, so, I was making money from Amazon, and there are some things that were annoying to me about creating affiliate links using their platform. You know, you'd have to go to Amazon.com, search for the product you want to promote, click a button that says link to this page, then click another button that's like link type, then copy that code and then paste it back into your WordPress post. So it's just a lot of unnecessary and kind of long steps to do that. So we made a plugin, and it's easyazon.com is the plugin, and what that does is you can search for products to promote from Amazon within your actual blog posts themselves. So we basically skipped that step, and then we started, and that was kind of the first version. And then since then, because that product was first released back in 2011, we've done multiple different versions, several dozen free updates, and then just constantly improved the software.
EasyAzon. Any other software that you're working on?
Yeah, the main thing that I'm working on this year, and I expect to be working on for the next several years, is boostwp.com. And BoostWP is, I thought about, I've had a lot of experience with websites and making money with them, and it's also particularly too when I buy websites, getting them to make more money. And so I wanted to focus on creating a service where we would have a lot of different plugins that help with very specific areas around marketing, so traffic generation, lead generation, and then website monetization. So EasyAzon would fall into that last category. So that's kind of what BoostWP is, and then we have like a yearly or a monthly subscription for that, and then we make a new plugin every month or an upgrade to an existing one.
Okay. And I also read that email marketing is also part of your revenue stream. Are those related to the software that you have, or the affiliate marketing that you do or have done, or is it something separate entirely?
It's both, actually. It's both of those. I can probably trace back. I'm actually in the process. I want to write. We're going to be releasing a new lead generation plugin in the coming months, and so I want to write a series of blog posts on my blog about email marketing. But I haven't pulled up the numbers, but I'm pretty sure I've done over $1 million in revenue from my email lists specifically. So email marketing and building an email list is probably the single best thing I've ever done for my business, because and it's what's weird is that so many people don't do it. I don't understand, but it's if I publish a blog post and I don't send out to my email list, it might get a handful of comments, because I don't have a lot of people subscribed. I've several thousand followers on Twitter, but that's not a huge amount. And I have a lot of people on my Facebook page, but if I send them an email, then that's something that people check pretty much on a daily or near daily basis, and so I can get several hundred comments. Or if I'm promoting a product, then obviously I can get a lot of people to look and buy that way. I don't even promote products really on Twitter anyways, or Facebook, because it's just email is so much more effective.
It's more networking, Twitter, than try to promote something.
Yeah, I mean that's more of what I use it for, at least, and I kind of use it to check up on what other people are doing. But that's really it. It's just I use it kind of as a way to see blog posts or read interesting articles from people, and that's all I use it for. I mean, I think I've tried a while back to use like a tracking ID to see if any sales would come from my Twitter feed, and it was like maybe one or nothing. Whereas I can send them my email list and generate several hundred. So.
Now, you mentioned that you're working on a lead gen plugin. What is it that you think is not done currently with the plugins that are out there, and what do you think are the crucial parts of a good plugin or the best plugin? I don't know how much of it you can give away, but that would be really interesting to me, because there's so much of them out there, so many of them out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say everything. I mean, not that someone will listen to this and try and copy the idea or anything like that. I'm not worried about that. But I'm actually finalizing the rest of the spec, the initial spec, for my co-founder. He's working with me on every plugin that we do for BoostWP, and so I'm actually finalizing that today. But basically, so I don't know everything that's going to be in it, but all I know is that we're going to set it up so that the people that are using it correctly will be able to generate huge returns on their investment in purchasing the software. And I don't know if I can really go into more specifics other than that. A lot of the way the plugins work now is okay, but there's a lot of things that no one's really done before that we're going to do that will combine elements of other marketing that works really well. But yeah, so that's kind of
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just, I like to think that because I have a lot of experience with websites and generating revenue from them and growing them, that the software that I help to architect and the idea of coming up with what should be done with it, it's kind of a marketer coming up with these ideas as opposed to a programmer thinking this is a problem that needs to be solved, but not knowing anything about the marketing side.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the strength is. So
also about improvement, like you said earlier, something's out there, but make it better.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I want to talk about focus a little bit. What is your take on staying focused in business? I mean, you do several different things, which you made it work for your business. But do you think it's better for people to stay focused maybe on one thing, like either affiliate marketing or buying and selling sites or building software? How do you feel about that?
Yes, I mean, I guess I would give an example. I've been self-employed now it'll be 5 years in October, and I'm generating a pretty solid six-figure income that keeps growing, but a lot of the people that I've stayed in contact with that left their jobs around the same time as me, many of them are earning seven figures a year, and actually every example of the people that I know there's only a handful, there's not a huge amount of people, but of all the ones that are doing that, they've all focused in on one thing, and then they're just focused on improving that thing over and over again, and that's really what they're doing. So that's kind of why, after seeing that, even with just in my own kind of internet friend group, and then knowing that I've been kind of running all over the place doing all sorts of things, that's when I decided I wanted to, rather than just have a lot of different plugins that are kind of all upright separately, I wanted to build a business that is that one thing that I can focus on. So that's kind of what I'm doing, and that's what I would suggest. I think that if you get distracted by doing too many different things, then you might not get the progress that you really need. That said, I'm still trying to find ways to do those other things, but to not have to do the same amount of time investment. So, like, I'm looking at building out some new websites, but I'm looking at hiring on people to help build them for me and then kind of teaching them about it through my blog or whatever. So that's like an example of how I'm trying to still dabble in other areas, but not let it distract me from my primary business.
How much do you outsource now? I mean, you've been in business for about 4 years, and what do you think about outsourcing, and are you able to do any of it? And if yes, what is it that you outsource? What do you think we should start with outsourcing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the key is really to look at, and this will be different for every person, but especially based on maybe what their earnings are. If they're at a corporate job right now and they're trying to break out and do their own online thing, then you've got to look at the return on your potential investment, or if you actually are already making money, look at your actual return on investment by doing everything yourself. And so for me, like customer support, answering every email, especially when it's I forgot my password, or how do I download this product, or can you show me where the help videos are, answering emails like that, I don't need to be involved with. And to a certain extent, I can probably get to the point where I don't need to answer any of those emails. I can just get a report from my customer service reps, and then that'll help us to determine, which new features to do and which problems people might be having, so how we can improve the process. So I would say really anything. I mean, I'm trying to get to the point where I only work Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday I take off. And especially now with, my wife and I just had two twin girls in January of this year. So
congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, so they're, I'm realizing that I can't get as much work done as I could before. And so the only way to really do that is to hire out to help out with that. So, I have a guy that does graphics for me. He's based in Mexico. And I have a guy that does copywriting for me that's, I can't remember where he's based actually. And then, the developer that I work with, co-founder, he's based in Vegas. So, yeah, I mean, I think that it's really important to think about the ROI or the potential ROI, where you can focus on the things that will do the most impact for your business.
I want to talk about reinvesting or investing some of your revenue back in your business. How do you determine how much of your revenue will you reinvest?
Well, for me, it's kind of been a mixture. So I pay myself pretty well from the earnings that I make, but I also try and keep my personal lifestyle really cheap. So, for example, we bought a house for $130,000, but I make well over $130,000 a year, so we'll probably pay off the house this year. But I do that because it allows me to invest that much more into my business. So I guess to answer your question, I try and invest as much as possible. I do some investing outside of that, like into mutual funds and ETFs and all that. But really, my best returns have come when I've bet on myself. And so sometimes there've been flops, but as there always will be. But I try and invest as much as possible, because I think that, especially if I'm building a business and want to grow it, then investing in either the people that work with me or whatever is going to give me the best returns.
In terms of scaling, how should we go about scale our business, or maybe in your business? When I read that you want to buy more sites and sell them and all that. I don't know, maybe with that or affiliates or whatever. How do you look at scaling?
Yeah, so I think that there are different ways that you can scale in any type of business. So I guess if we look at the buying and selling websites, I think the best way for me to scale with that would be to probably find investors that could help me buy the websites, and then that way I don't have to risk my own capital, and I can focus that capital on the software businesses that I'm growing, and then also so that I can buy larger websites, because for example, I bought a site a couple years ago for a little under $15,000, and I sold it at the end of last year for $42,000, and then I earned about $30,000 while I owned it. So in total, I made about $55,000 from this website, and I paid someone else to write the content for it. So I basically just kind of collected the checks for that site. And while that was a nice sale, it's still not like a huge business, I guess, And I think that to really scale up the buying and selling websites business, I need to probably get access to a lot more capital and buy bigger. Place bigger bets, I guess you could say. So I think it kind of depends on the business. I think for the software business, then I could look at hiring on more programmers so that we can release software faster, and then also too looking at more ways to get distribution. So there's a lot of things we're trying to do to get as many people using our software as possible, because I feel like and what I've found is that once people start using what we're building, they tend to buy other stuff that we make, because we make good products. We keep them updated so they're never going to be left with something that just stops working, and then we're always improving them too.
So how do you make a decision between holding a site and buying a site or selling a site? Because you mentioned that, and I read on your blog, you had a really nice sale of a site that you sold last year, and or how do you decide? I want to grow this, or I want to sell it and then go bigger. Why not grow the one that you already have?
I think there's kind of comes a point where you've taken it as far as you can go, or as far as you want to go. So with that site, continuing that example, that site wasn't in a space I knew even anything about. I couldn't even have written the content about the site because I knew nothing about it. That was just kind of a way to show that you can buy a website in any space, and you can hire someone else to help you run it. But I guess just kind of going along the other themes I was sharing about focus and trying to focus in on the software business, it would make more sense for me to take those profits and then reinvest into buying websites related to the core business I'm trying to build. So I guess it just comes down to what you're trying to accomplish. A lot of the people that I know that buy and sell websites, they try and buy within a specific niche, but because it's just so difficult to find quality websites worth buying, I liken it to real estate investing, where people talk about they can rent the house they're living in if they move somewhere else, but really there's only a handful, a small percentage of houses actually worth renting if you look at the numbers and really kind of calculate them out based on your maintenance fees and vacancies and all that. And so it's kind of like that with websites, where it's hard to find websites that are really worth buying and building and growing. So,
yeah. On that note, how do you find sites that are valuable and that worth money? Because if you look at businesses for sale, for example, I don't know if you've been looking at businesses, but they're, in my opinion, many times really grossly overpriced. So how do you find something that's good value? As you said, you've been doing this for a long time, but even for you, this is very complicated. What's your advice on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a challenge. I mean, I do think that a lot of people overprice what it is they're trying to sell. I kind of combat that a little bit by looking to buy from people that aren't actually out there advertising to sell. So that would be like researching different niches that I'm interested in and seeing, if there's sites to buy, or also just kind of making people aware of the fact that I'm interested in buying websites. So like through my blog, I have contact forms where people can email me, and that's how I bought a lot of my sites as well. So I guess there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but yeah, I mean, it is challenging. I guess my main advice though would be to not really buy something, and then you can see a way to really, scale up and drastically improve the website or business or whatever it is to really justify your investment into that entity.
Okay. And what is your strategy for finding buyers? Are buyers finding you, or you actually seek them out proactively?
Well, I mean, I really don't sell that often. I prefer to buy and hold. I like to think about buying a site and then holding onto it for a long period of time. But in the case where I've sold, it's been like the first time I sold a site, a bigger site at least, it was a 6-figure sale. And I just said to myself, this is as big as I think it can get. And at this point, this is a huge chunk of my income, this website. So I should probably sell and just kind of use that money to diversify and do other things. And so that's what I did with that one. But then with the other site, the more recent sale, that was one where the buyer just found me basically. So I didn't, and in that case, I can't say specifically which company bought it or anything, but I guess the main thing I would say is that it wouldn't be an example that I could share that would really help anyone, because it just kind of came to me because of the buyer knowing me.
Okay. And in terms of being a successful Amazon affiliate, what is your strategy for finding the right niches? I think sometimes people struggle. They don't even know where to begin to look for a niche to go after.
Yeah, so in the past, I'd say going after product keywords, but Google's made changes, and that's the thing too that I would suggest is that if you're in the niche website space or even kind of authority style websites, you've got to be able to stay apprised of the updates that Google makes, and you've got to be constantly changing and shifting your strategy for your business, because Google is always kind of fighting lower quality sites. So now it's a matter of building a higher quality site. And so when it comes back to the niches question, then you're looking at trying to target different types of buyer keywords and review style keywords, so best or reviews, and then whatever your product category might be. And then two, you've got to, coming back to the SEO angle, it's a lot of these niche type sites, there's no one that would actually really link to a site like that. And for the time being, that's how Google's algorithm largely determines which sites are ranked for different keywords. So you've got to find ways to manually build links to your site. Now, some of those methods can be a little more gray area or black hat area, I guess. But I guess that's something that whoever's listening or however you think you can do it can decide.
Okay. And in terms of skill sets for entrepreneurs, where would you like to improve yourself in terms of your entrepreneurial skill sets, and what do you think are some of the most important ones for success? And I'm not talking about anything specific like WordPress, knowing WordPress or SEO, but more general entrepreneurial skill sets.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, what to improve would be probably time management, because I have to-do lists on my computer that were from January of this year with items that are important to do, but I have yet to do, yet to finish them. So, I mean, that's actually something that this month I'm trying to figure out some type of time management system that I can try, whether it's getting things done or something like that, one of those systems, because I don't think I can do what I'm doing anymore, where I have all these different things I'm juggling all at the same time. So for me, I guess time management is what I'm primarily working on. And then also just a willingness to continue to try new things. As an example, paid marketing isn't something I've ever really done before. But again, going back to the example of the people that I know that are doing 7 figures a year on up, they're all doing paid marketing in some capacity. So I think just being willing to step out of your comfort zone, and those are, I guess, the two for me. I think for entrepreneurs and people that want to become entrepreneurs, I think it's just a willingness to try something, even in the face of knowing that you're likely to fail at the first time, or at least you might fail on certain components. So I think you have to be, willing to just start, and then if you fail, keep trying new things, because now I mentioned at the beginning that in October it'll be my half decade that I've been doing this, and every year I've been able to grow my business. But what people don't see are the years before that when I was trying all sorts of different things and failing all the time. And that's part of why I started my blog, was to try and help cut the learning curve down for people that are trying to do similar types of online things like I'm doing. So that's what I would say.
Do you recommend that model, to start on the side, start part-time, instead of just going right into the middle of it and try to build a business?
Yeah, I guess it's weird because I was doing it on the side and with the intention that one day I would leave my job and do it full-time. And to give some real numbers based on my experience, I was at a sales job, and I think I was on track to do, or maybe I did earn like $60,000 that year, and that was after commissions, and my base pay was like $40,000. But the revenue I was doing for that company was, I made them like $1 million or something like that. But anyway, so like the money that I was making there was decent for my age, and the website income had started to pass it, and so I probably would have waited a little bit longer before leaving my job, but because I got fired, and I kind of had to go. I didn't have a lot of savings because at the time my wife was in master's school, and so it was just me working and then doing this stuff on the side to try and provide additional income and eventually a new job. So I personally think that building something on the side and getting some initial traction is important. And then also, too, it just depends on your savings and your risk tolerance. At the time, I was a lot younger, and I figured worst case scenario, it fizzles out and I can get another job. And best case scenario, I can keep growing and go from there. So I would say the side, if you can start on the side, that's better. Unless you have a lot of money, then you can maybe just try leaving your job and go into it full time.
So based on your experience as an entrepreneur over the last, 4 or 5 years, where do you think the most significant growth will occur in your company in the next few years? And how will you respond to that? Or what kind of a change do you think will that require?
I think that's tough because I don't necessarily know. I have a general idea of what we can do. Through the Boost WP website, that's the one that I'm primarily focused on this year. We're going to be doing a blog, so we're going to be paying writers to write blog posts so we have like a content marketing strategy for getting traffic that way, and then following those visitors through to potentially buy our software if it fits their needs. We're going to be doing a podcast as well. And then we're also going to be doing product launches each month for the new plugin that we release. So that'll be outside of the Boost WP area. And then so we'll generate some initial revenue there. And then we'll be able to get some customers to decide to upgrade and stick with Boost WP as a membership type service. So there's a lot of different angles that we're trying to approach. But that's kind of the goal, I guess, is we're just trying to create a really powerful service that our goal really is to just well and above provide more value than it costs for people to use our software, and then that way people will be happy to pay it, type of thing.
You mentioned content marketing. We hear a lot about content marketing, but I don't hear so much about content distribution. What is a good strategy, or what are some good strategies for content distribution?
I guess beyond publishing within your blog and trying to get as many people to read it, both through sharing mechanisms with on site and then also through promotion to your email list and all that, I wouldn't really know. I think that there are other types of things you can do, like syndication, but I don't have any experience with that personally. That is something that I've thought about doing, is to see if I could, some of my better articles, if I could try and syndicate them on some of these larger business style websites that have huge amounts of traffic. But yeah, I guess that is still something that I could improve, distribution. So I don't think I have a really good answer, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. I have only 2 more questions. I know we're close to that 30-minute mark, so I appreciate you sticking with me for a couple of more minutes. My next question is, what are some mistakes that you made in the last 6 months or last year, and how does it help your business today?
Yeah, so I was working on a blog post about my mistakes, and I've been working on it for the past for a long time, actually, because I keep remembering more failures. So I guess the biggest failures, I think, in the last 6 months to a year, I think kind of stem from just moving too slowly. So there are different aspects of my business that I've been content to kind of cruise control, and I think that not really putting the pedal to the metal, I guess, to use like the cheesiest example, not really trying to accelerate growth. I think that's some of the biggest mistake, I guess, for me, is to just not really keep pushing really hard, I guess.
Okay.
I know it's kind of hard to give a specific example, but I guess that's how I'd answer it.
But somehow you feel when you're not pushing hard enough, or when you look back, you can tell that, I could have done more, or I could have pushed harder.
Yeah, I think that it's hard because, there's always the idea that, I could do better, or, my business could be doing better, or I could be earning more or whatever. But I think, to contrast that, you also have to put into perspective, just how great life can be versus how hard it is for people, especially in other countries as well. But I guess when it comes to business side, yeah, that's something that comes up sometimes, is thinking about what I could do to, just thinking of opportunities that were there and that I didn't really dive into and push very hard, I guess.
I appreciate that. Do you have any last words of wisdom, maybe for someone either that starts out or somebody just wants to take their business to the next level? Maybe something that I haven't asked but you think is very important.
I think that the biggest thing is I have a podcast as well, and I mentioned this at the end, but for people listening, it's easy to think that you're doing something by listening to a lot of podcasts and trying to learn as much as you can before you get started. But ultimately, if you just listen to podcasts or become an expert at listening to podcasts, as I mentioned at the end of one of my shows, then you're really not going to make any strides towards building your own business and achieving your own goals. So I think that, as corny as I guess it sounds, you just have to start something, and you're going to fail. And I like to say I failed my way to success, and I got as many of those initial failures out of the way until I found something that worked, and then I improved on what worked. But you really just have to do something. If you're starting and you're listening, that's what I would suggest.
How can people connect with you?
Yes, I think the best way would be just through my blog. It's entrepreneurboost.com. And then also I'm on Twitter at Chris Guthrie. And then I guess the plugins and software I mentioned before was easyazon.com, which is that Amazon WordPress plugin. And then boostwp.com, which is the primary business I'm focused on, where we create software that helps people with their marketing for their WordPress-powered websites.
Do you have a website for your upcoming lead gen plugin, or not yet, where people could go to sign up or put in their email to be notified?
Yeah, best way would just be to go to boostwp.com. There's an email opt-in on the front page, and that's where you'd find out when it becomes available. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, Chris, appreciate your time, and it was really good information, and let's stay in touch. I'd love to speak with you maybe a year from now, see how these projects are going.
Awesome. Thanks, George.